Okay, so before going for servlets, let's see the content, and we'll start with the intro. Okay, so what is servlets and how to work with servlets, and what do you mean by web-based applications, and what are the things we require to develop a web-based applications. All right. Next will be protocol, HTTP protocol. HTTP protocol is the one of the most important thing, and how there is a communication is happening between two machines, and how the data is flowing between one machine to another machine, or you can say from client to the server, like that, and some internals of HTTP protocols. Okay, then we'll see structure to develop web-based application. Okay, like we have seen structure for JDBC, which was not required. Without the structure also JDBC programs will work, but for servlets the structure is mandatory. Without the structure, server will not identify where your classes are available. Fourth one, interfaces, like what are the packages we will be seeing when we are working with servlets, and what are the interfaces and classes which are used. All right, and one more thing, life cycle of a servlet, or life cycle methods of a servlet. There are some methods, some common methods where will be called as a life cycle. How what's the first method will execute when you're trying to execute a servlet, and where you should write the business logic, and where in the end what methods gets executed once the servlet gets executed completely. All right. Then we'll go for like what is generic servlet and generic and HTTP servlet. Generic and HTTP servlet. Same way, we have one more interface, servlet config, and when these objects will be created for, and what are the uses of servlet config. Same way, servlet context, similar to servlet config, we'll be having servlet context as well. Request dispatching example we'll see. This is also one of the interface. And send redirect, okay. Life cycle is over. Phases of a servlet. Thread pool, and whatnot. Pre-initialization. Okay, like this, we have servlets. Then we can go for JSP. And in JSP, what are the topics left? Like, we have sessions, we have cookies, and what are hidden form variables. All these things we'll see in JSPs, with servlets and JSPs, both examples. All right. All right, so let's start with the intro. So first of all, what is a servlet? Any idea about servlet? See, first, before going for servlets, let me give you a little introduction about what type of applications we will be using or we have used in the past. All right. So using Java language, we can develop so many kinds of applications. Okay, like first type I can say standalone application. Okay, mobile application. Applets and web-based application. Like these are different kinds of applications we can develop with the help of Java language. All right. So what do you mean by standalone application? Okay. Standalone application is nothing but the applications which runs on a single machine, or we can say which can execute with the context of a single machine. With the context of a single machine, like any applications which you need to install in your machine. Okay, like our media players. Whenever you wanted to use any media player, we need to install that application. For one machine, one application required. For one machine, one application required. 10 machines means 10 in each and every machine you need to install that application. Then only the compatible videos will play or compatible audios you can use it. Like if you take an example of MS Office, all right, to work with Word or PDF files or any other files, what you need to do? You need to install those applications. You need to install Microsoft Office. Then only you can create PPTs or Excel files or all those applications. All right, so that application, without those applications, you cannot work with the files. There is a point. Okay, so can I just let me write it down. Application that executes in the context of a single machine. All right, so like example, MS Office or media players, etc., like this. All right, but these standalone applications have some drawbacks. What are the drawbacks these standard application is having? Like these application has to be installed in each and every client machine. Okay, these standard applications for particularly for some use, not for all kinds of applications you can develop as standalone. Not all type of applications. So whenever you are working with standard application, you have to install that application on a client's machine. Okay, if there are hundreds of users, means hundreds of users must install that applications. Okay, so can I say that drawback will be it has to be installed in every client's machine? Right, like this. Now in these standard applications, the data which we are writing or the logic, that part of the standard applications can be used by only that machine. Okay, so if there is any issue or is there any errors we are getting, so each and every application, each and every machine we have to visit and we have to change the code, or we have to change the code and reinstall in each and every machine. Reinstall in each and every machine. Okay, this is one of the drawback. One important one was like the standalone application is consuming client's memory. Okay, because it needs a lot of resources from client's machine. So that client will not prefer. Okay, so can I say resources required, that too from client's machine. Okay, if the client machine is not compatible, the application will not work. Okay, if the client machine needs to be upgraded, needs to have particular requirement for that. Okay, so these are the standalone applications. So whenever you have the requirement for standalone applications, okay, definitely that will be of for a particular use, not for all kinds of applications. Okay, there is a second type of applications we are having is mobile applications. Okay, now these mobile applications are developed for the purpose of mobiles or wireless devices, any wireless devices. Okay, now these mobile applications will be developed according to some platform, whatever the platform which we are using. Okay, for that, Android people, they are developing for their compatibility, and some iOS people will be developing for their compatibility. Like not all the applications will work on every platform. Okay, so for that there are some other requirements, but as of now we don't develop mobile applications, but still there are some drawbacks available for that. Okay, like applets is also there, one of the type of application. Applets. Now before all these kinds of applications, everyone used to develop applets. Now applets is also one of the Java application which runs on client's machine only, and it will run with the help of a browser. Okay, if we are developing applets, if you are developing any application using applets, then we have to face lot of security issues. There is no security in applets. So when Sun Microsystem only released applets. So if you open Java API, you will find first packages java.applets. Okay, but later on, what Sun Microsystem did is they only recommended, they only told everyone not to use applets because of security issues. Okay. Now next type of application will be web-based application. Now these web-based applications can execute on any machine. These web-based application can execute on any machine. How? With the help of a browser. Application can be executed with the context of a or with the help of a browser. Now these web-based applications you don't have to install. They are not standalone. So that these applications will be installed on server. So how to access these applications? With the help of a browser. Now the web-based applications is also called as a client-server application. Web-based application also called as client server application. All right. Now these web-based application require client and server. So every web-based application will be having two softwares. To work with a web-based applications, we require two softwares. First is client, second is server. First client software and server software. Client software and server software. Now what happens is client software is nothing but the browser, any browser you can take, which we already have. Every machine will have some browser. And server software, we need to install it. Okay, because we are working with servlets, so we need to install a separate server in our machines, and we can work with we can try some examples by working with this client server software. Okay, so what happens here? So this is the client software, this is the server software. Okay, client and server. So what happens? Client will request to the server for some resource. Server will receive the request. Server will receive the request, process the request, and send response back to the client. Send response back to the client. Okay, so it is all about sending the request to the server. Server will send the response back to the client. All right, so what is a client software? It can be any browser. It can be any browser that we use in our machines, like Internet Explorer, Firefox, Google Chrome, etc. Anything. All right, so every operating system will provide one default browser. If you have it, or if you don't have anything, also default browser will be there, that is Internet Explorer. Okay, and if you and the server softwares are nothing but, like in API's introduction, I told you what is the server actually. Any company which is implementing to JEE API will become the server. Any company which is implementing to JSC API will become the JDK software. Getting the point? So those are the companies, any companies which is implementing to JEE API will become the server. So what are the few servers are available in the market right now? So for client, can I say Internet Explorer, Firefox, Chrome, etc. Like this, some servers are available in the market. Like we have Tomcat server, JBoss server, WebLogic, WebSphere, so many, Glassfish, like this, so many servers are available in the market. If you work with any server, all the servers will be implementing to JEE API, and it's just a different company. Like Tomcat is given by Apache, and JBoss is given by, I guess, JetBrains. Like this, different companies. WebLogic or WebSphere. WebSphere is from IBM, I guess. Okay, they are implementing to JEE API and releasing in servers in the market. Getting the point? So we have Internet Explorer. There we have to download a basic version of server in our machine, and we can work. And how to install, I will show you in later classes. Okay. Next. Now, what's between these two? Like I said, the user will send the request to the server by using client software. Any client software is fine. Okay. One more thing. Some client software does not provide all the features. Okay, but if you use like the latest ones, that will work, no problem. Okay, so client software we are using to send the request. Server will read the request, process the request, and then send response back to the client. Okay, developing a web-based application means developing a web-based application means developing a program which runs on the server. Let me repeat, developing a web-based application means developing a program which runs on the server. Until now, who are running our programs? JVM means like main method. We are writing main method. Okay, because execution is done by JVM and JVM calls to main method and we are writing main method. Now you can understand in servlets, we will not write main method to execute. Who is responsible to execute the program? Server. So what we have to do, we have to develop a program and deploy inside the server. To check whether the program is working or not, we have to send the request from the client. Okay, if client is sending the request, you're getting the response back properly. That means the application is running. Okay, so web-based application. So let's see something about now web-based application consists of two things. Every web-based application. In this, first is web resources. And second is web components. Web resources and web components. Okay, now web resources means that is used for your front end, and you can develop that front end with the help of HTML or CSS files. HTML, CSS, any front end you can use. Web resources could be some images also. Web resources could be some JavaScript files also. Anything which you will see on front end. And web components, you can develop web components with the help of servlets and JSPs. Servlets and JSPs. Getting the point? So you require some HTML pages for web resources and some web components for servlets and JSPs. Clear? Now, using these web resources, using these web resources, HTML or CSS, we cannot create web pages, but web resources will help other programs to create web pages. Like a web-based application will contain a collection of web pages. Any web-based application is nothing but a collection of web pages. Now, so we will see in detail what is I'll show you small examples for writing HTML pages, how that are connecting with servlets. Okay. Next, now to make communication between client and server, what we require, the most important thing, to make communication between client software and server software, we require a protocol. There are so many protocols available in the market, like FTP protocol, SMTP protocol, HTTP protocol, and so on. All right. Now, which protocol we will use mostly? We will use HTTP protocol. Why? Because of HTTP protocols are stateless protocol. HTTP protocols are stateless protocol. And what do you mean by stateless? When I'm sending the request from client to server. When I'm sending the request from client to server, HTTP protocol will take the request and go to the server. Once it reaches the server, it will submit everything what client has submitted, and that protocol will forget everything. That means the data which is there inside the HTTP protocol will not be stored. Means server doesn't require any memory, extra memory for storing HTTP data as well. Okay, for like server is processing the request. Server is processing the request and sending response back to the client. When server is sending back to the client, again we require some protocol. Okay, server will also use the same protocol, which is HTTP protocol, to send response back. When the response is coming to the client will not, in client's machine, it will not store any extra data. It will not store any extra data. HTTP protocol is stateless. It will not require any memory to receive and store some data. Okay, so you can imagine if you are sending request to the server 100 times a day, okay, and every time you are getting response. So if each and every time, if server is storing something, some bytes of memory only into your client's machine, in 1 or 2 days, your client program, either it's a Chrome or Firefox, that will stop working because of less memory. All right, so the memory will be stored. For that, everyone use HTTP protocol. That's the standard protocol to communicate between client and the server. Now HTTP protocol is a specification. Okay, now it will tell you how to construct the client request and how to transfer to the server. Okay, and how the server will respond back to the client. All right, so it is an open specification protocol. Okay, and open specification means it can be used by anyone. It can be used by anyone. And it's a TCP IP based model. TCP IP based model, transfer control protocol. All right. So suppose this is my server. This is my web resources. This is my web components. All right. Every server also requires some data. Okay. So internally also there will be some database will be there. That's a database server, we can say. Can I say this? Web resources, web components, some database. This is nothing but a server software. All right. So between your client and the server, what protocol will be there? HTTP protocol. And the request will come with HTTP protocol. All right. And send response back to the client with HTTP protocol only. Okay, so there will be some client machine. In the client machine, you will be having some browser. Browser will send the request, process the request. Request will reach to some web resources and execute with the help of web components. If some have form data, it will store inside a database and process the data, get the data, and send response back to the client. Okay. Clear about this? Any doubts? All right. So let's see some internals of HTTP protocol. What do you mean by HTTP protocol? Because this is important. Because every request which you are sending to the server is going with this protocol only. This protocol only. And we have to know what is inside this HTTP protocol. All right. Now, you have seen HTTPS also, right? Okay. HTTPS is nothing but hypertext transfer protocol, and that S stands for security. S stands for security. Okay, secured data transmission. Okay, apart from security, both HTTP and HTTPS are same in all the rules. Okay, now if we learn HTTP protocol, we can say we know HTTPS protocol also. Get the point? Okay. Now in HTTP, we are having two things. HTTP request format and HTTP response format. HTTP request format and response format. Okay. Now, server should be able to understand the request. Okay, that means this HTTP request is available at what location? In the client's machine, because he has to fill the request and go to the client. Client will process the request. Okay, the client should be able to understand the response given by the server. Okay, so client will send the response. Client will be having this HTTP response format. Okay, if a client and server wants to communicate with each other, they have to use same protocol. Okay, in all the web-based application, we use HTTP protocol only. Okay, the client and server should send the request and response in HTTP format only. Okay, now we have to see what is the internals of this HTTP protocol. Okay, so let's first discuss what is HTTP request. What is HTTP request? Okay, now HTTP request is again divided into 4 parts. What is the first part? Line of request. Second, request header. Third, there will be a blank line. And fourth, request body. Line of request, request header, blank line, and request body. Now, this line of request will look like this. Okay, this line of request is also called as a start line. Start line. Okay, first in line of request, first thing will be method. Method will be of so many types. Okay, which type of method you are getting executed. Okay, like this. Second will be requested resource, or you can say URI, and which protocol you are using, or version. Which protocol or version you will be using. Okay. Okay, so HTTP request is divided into 4 lines, and first line contains these 3 things. Okay, what's the method? And this method could be anything. Now, this method will indicate the way in which the client sends the request to the server, or they can indicate what operation you wanted to perform. What operation you wanted to perform, like get, whether you wanted to perform a get request, like client is asking for the server some for some resource, or put request, like you wanted to overwrite what is already there, or post, delete, what kind of request you are sending to the server, like this. Okay, requested URI. Requested URI. What do you mean by URI? Unified Resource Identifier. Okay, you will be having URL. Okay, URI is Unified Resource Identifier. In the URL, you will see some data. Okay, it will go from .com, google.com. Okay, some images and some other pages like that you're going. The particular page in the end, what you are requesting, that is the URI. Okay, that is the URI which is mentioned inside the line of request. Line of request. Okay. Can I say, like, suppose I am requesting for some page, home.html. So that's this home.html is the page which will be filled inside the line of request of requested URI. Requested URI. Getting the point? Okay. Protocol. Which protocol you are using? HTTP protocol. Okay, so if anyone is using SMTP protocol or FTP protocol, they will get this. It will be filled here by the clients, by the client, like the browser. Okay, and which version of that protocol? It's 1.1 or 1.2, any version, whatever the version you're using. Okay, so can I say like this? Request will go get space home.html space http/1.1, like this. Okay, get the point? Second, what's the second line we have in the HTTP request format? Request header. Now, this request header is also very important. Okay, actually this request header. In this request header, again, we are having 2 things. First is header name and header value. Header name and header value. This is important. Here, it will tell you what exactly you're trying to find out, or it can say like the complete details. First, like what's the header name. For example, if I say user agent, okay, when server is receiving the request, it will open the header and see which user agent is trying to access it. Okay, it will be Mozilla Firefox, some version, some details like this. Details will be there. Okay, like this. Okay, now what type of language? What type of language? EN-US, English language, which will be stored inside there. Character set. Accept. Char set. All right. So what UTF char set, or what type, whatever the format, UTF-8. Okay. So if you are sending any file, coding or content, zip file, content type, if it is text, it will give you text.html, or application like this. Content type is there, content length will be also there, like this. So many details will be there. That much of content, that's the length of the content. Like this, the complete details you will see inside the request header, and server can find out when you're sending the request. Okay. No, it's same only. I just made a mistake. Whatever the version which is filled, (1.2). What are the protocols which is using? What is filled? It will be given here. Okay. Third line. What's the third line? Blank line. What do you mean by blank line? Means there will be a continuous content of request header, and after request header there will be a request body. There will be request body. Between request header and request body, you will see one blank line. You can understand, okay, here request header ends. After that, request body is starting. After that, request body is starting. Sometimes you will see blank line for like, if sometimes you won't see any blank line. Instead, you will see \r or n, like this. There, the request header ends. After that, request body will start. Okay, and now this request body is optional. Why optional? Because it is used only when you're using some form data. It is used only when you're using some form data. Form data means when you're submitting some form. So all that data will be filled inside the request body. It will be stored inside the request body, and it will go request to the server. If there is no form, just normal accessing any website, means request body will not be in use. Okay. Now request body is the one who actually carries the request data. That means the form data. Whenever you're using form data, understand that is filled inside the request body. Okay. Now, when client is sending request to the server, what commonly the situations, like when you are typing some URL in the address bar of the browser, or when you click on submit button, request will go. or when you click on some hyperlink. Either you are entering something in the browser, or you are clicking on submit button, or when you are clicking on any hyperlink, request will immediately go to the server. Okay. Can I say form data? Okay, request will go to the server. Host, like host details, like what? See, host detail means which browser details will go, what type of browser you're using. So all the details is filled already here. You have to go to the any browser and check what details you are sending to the server. Okay, unless and until you send a request in these three scenarios: submit, hyperlink, or enter in the browser, request will not go. Okay, and there is a different situation of storing cookies and everything. That is also I will show you what are cookies and where it is storing inside your browser and how it is storing. Even though HTTP is stateless, it does not store any memory. Still, cookies are getting stored inside your browser. How and why? We'll see that. Next is apart from that, if you're talking about some personal data, means that's in I don't think unless and until there is a breach or internal code which is disturbed for your browser. Okay, that depends on the server mostly. What type of browser which you're using, server will understand. Okay, there are some blockers also that are available. In request headers, not only these 5 or 6, so there are so many things. I'll show you. I'll open a browser after the response. Second one, what we are having is HTTP response format. Again, this response. Now we are filling the request. Request is going to the server. Server will process the request, and server has to send response back to the client. And when server is sending response back to the client, he has to fill in some details and send back. Okay, again, there are some format available for server response also. What are those? First one, line of response. Line of response, or I can say status line. Line of response. And what this line of response contains? Like we are having line of request, method, requested URI, protocol. Same way, line of response is also having some details, in which first thing is protocol or version. Protocol or version. Second thing is status code. Status code. And third is status message. Okay. Protocol or version. Status code and status message. Protocol or version which server is using. Definitely to establish communication, it has to be some protocol and its version. Status codes is important. By seeing the status codes, you can understand whether Your request is processed, request is redirected, request, there is an error in the server, or there is an error in the client. Okay, like this you will be having 1 XX, 3 XX. Why I'm writing XX? That X can be any number between 0 to 9. 0 to 9. Okay, that means the response either it will be 101, 102, 103, like that. When it is starting with 1, you can understand it is regarding some information. It is regarding some information. Okay. When you see response with 201, 202, 203, anything, that means your status is success. Means whatever you are trying to request from the server, that has been processed, and the response internally you will get as 200. When browser is receiving 200, that means it is successfully I'm able to access it. Okay, when I'm entering google.com, internally what I will get 200. That means request is success. Okay. When you see 3xx, any number from 301 to 399, it is called redirection. It is called redirection. Redirection means you are requesting for one resource. That resource is redirecting to another resource. Getting the point? You are requesting to one resource. You are requesting to one page. That page is redirecting to another page. Sometimes it happens. Okay, you are requesting for some sports website, and that will redirect to another page. That means it may be updated, or it may be the old website has been removed and they just have redirected code, so that it will directly, all users who are familiar with the website will know the URL, but still the page is different with some other technology and all. Getting the point? 4xx. Okay, anything between 401 to 499, that means error. Whose error? Client's error. Client's error means request error. Client's error means request error. That means I am trying to access a website which is not available on server. Okay, if I just enter, it may be like for spelling mistake. I am trying to find out some website which is not available at all, never created, or maybe I am typing it wrong. When you get 404, that means the resource which you are trying to find out is not available, or maybe the resource was there and removed, not even redirected, removed completely. You will get 404 sometimes. Okay, that means that the request is not found. You're trying to access request is not found. 505, 506, anything between 5012 to 599, error. Server error means error from server side. Means the request which you are trying to access, the resource which you are trying to access is there, available, but it's not able to respond because I am sending the URL correct, but the server side, they have any problem, any code issue or any uploading, any issue on the server. Okay, they are not able to process the request properly. That's why you're getting 505. Getting the point? Okay, so like this, you have some status code. Again, in deep, if you wanted to go, you can search for the status codes. Like each and every, you will see like 401 means what, 402 means what, 403 means what. Okay, slowly you will get it in future. Okay, like same way, 200 and 400 codes you have to be known. All right, so you have to remember a few of the codes from what is 201, what is 202, what is 203. That right now not required. Okay, sometimes in interviews they will ask, but that is for like for more than 8 years like experience. Not to worry, but for now, just you need to understand what's the status code starting. By seeing the starting number, you can understand what type of uh, response you're getting from the server. Okay, status message is nothing but this information. Code is just 1xx, 2xx. Information is like this. Status message. So first line of response will be having the status line. Second, response header. Response header. And this response header is again having header name, and header value. What do you mean by header name? Same. What type of context content you see, content you're receiving, content type you're requesting for text. Are you getting text, HTML only, or some application or JavaScript pages? Okay, like this content type, content length. One important is connection. Okay, there will be a live connection or not. Connection. Okay, you will be having like live connection, means you are still connected to the server, okay, and keep alive for how long? Timeout is equals to 15 seconds. Okay, if you keep idle for 15 seconds, the connection will be lost. Again, you have to reload the page. Means reloading the page means again you are sending the request to the server. Then server will again process the request, send response back to the client. Okay, like that. So it will, when he is responding, he is saying that for 15 seconds the connection will be live. Connection will be live. Like this, there are so many response headers will be there. You can be able to add it. All right. Again, what's the third line? Blank line between the response header and response body. Again, what response body will do? What response body will do? Response body will is again optional, I can say. Why optional? Why optional? Response body will carry the data. Response body will carry the data from server to the client. Anything which you are downloading, okay, anything which you're downloading, any form or something, that will be attached on the response body, and from server to client it will be transferred. Okay, getting the point? Now there's no big difference between HTTP and HTTPS. S is nothing but just you're transferring between the client and server in more secured manner. When the data is transferred from client to server, data will be encrypted and then sent to the server. Server will receive the data and perform decryption in order to use the data. In order to use the data. Getting the point? So this is about HTTP request format and HTTP response format. This is the internals of HTTP protocol. Uh, F12. See, this is my browser which I'm using right now. Okay, so some request has been created here. What type of protocol? What type of method? Okay, result what I got 200. Okay, 200 means okay. Content type I did not downloaded anything, and like this somewhere. 1 second. Yes, if I click on anyone, uh, this is the URL, method type, request header, and the response header. Body is there. Every what do you call it? Browser type has different format. Like you have some tabs here between header and body. This is my Microsoft Edge I'm using. Maybe in Chrome some other format will be there. All right, and suppose I am function F12. If you click on, you will get this browser data. See, by default I have a page set here, so that page request is sending. Okay, some response post. Okay, so what is the content type? Application JSON, text plain. All right, how much time it requires? If I just click on google.com and enter. Okay, request has gone. For single page request, see how many requests going to the server. If I'm clicking on some like HTTP get, I got the response 200. Okay, accept language, encoding type, accept language. Okay, cookies is there or not? Who is the host? These all are request header which is going. Okay, and what's the response type? Bytes. So many details, date, expiration, and like this you can find out is there any response body is there or not. Okay, some code is written for that particular page. All right, so which language they are using, it's different for each and everything. Each page. Getting the point? Like this. Sometimes whether you are working on some real time when you are sending the request, you get some server error, you can go to the browser and check whether the response is getting properly or not. Okay. So let me close this one. There are so many things you can do in that internally. And yeah. So this is about HTTP request format and response format. Clear? Like format. Okay, I can show that all those things. Just wait for one more week. Like what? That's what we are doing here. I guess you wanted to know how all the things are applied, or something else at one location. What are we doing? What exactly? Like some architecture or See, if you are asking for how Java database and server all working together in real-time application, we are developing Java programs to develop web-based applications only. Okay, we have learned all the core Java for what that we can apply in these servlets technologies. Okay, every web browser in the front end, you will be having a browser. Okay, the moment you enter the URL, okay, that request will go to the server. That request will, the URL which you are entering, https:// okay, something.com, request will go to the server. Okay, server will receive the request. What we will do here is we will develop our application and deploy inside the server. All right, there will be some server pages available like this. So many pages will be available which we are looking for. Suppose that's the Google page which I am sending request to. Okay, I'm sending request to the Google page. That page which I have developed as a Java program. And if it is just for accessing the page, response will get back from HTTP response to the browser. If you wanted to store something, that page I will write some logic to store inside the database. Okay, that will go store inside the database. Or something which you wanted to retrieve something, it will go process the tables, get to the server pages. Server page will get back to the client. Okay, now on the server pages, what I will do directly, I will not give access to the pages. Means those are not Java applications. Just wait for 4 to 5 examples for servlets. Then I will show you that it will be clear like how request will be paging. We will be designing one small form based where you will enter your email address and password and click on submit. Click on submit button. Request will go to the front page. Okay, you have to design one small front page. Okay, front page you have to design it. Okay, that front page you will be writing some name and password. That will be in the backend. Java pages will execute. HTML pages only we have to design. Java pages will execute. It will go executed whether you have entered the correct username and password correctly or not. If it is correct, it will go and store inside the database. And response directly will get back to the client. Okay, so we'll see that. We'll see those examples if that's what you are asking, like how all the things work. So we will be designing servlets, how to design a web pages and deploy inside the server. This is our server. This is the database. This is our browser. Browser is only used to enter the URL. Okay, in 2-3 days only we will see our first example, and slowly I'll increase the data and we'll design some HTML pages and we'll see. Okay, anything else? See, once done, in the end I will show you the basic of MVC architecture. Okay, because in frameworks we will see what is MVC architecture and model view controller. There will be 3 separate sections. separate sections on the server: model, view, and controller. Okay, model view controller is nothing but like the format which we used in developing any web-based applications. Any framework you can take, whether it's a Spring framework or JSF framework, any framework, model view controller will be used. All right. We are in servlets. We are learning the basics. There we have developed model controller will take the request, process the request. Okay, and process throughout our application. Our view page is responsible to display the view pages. What all the pages which you are clicking and you are getting the view pages, all the view pages will be filled inside the view pages, and some persistence logic or some middleware logics are available inside the connection pooling, all those things. There are so many things. Not to worry about that. Now we are in developing application mode. All right, until now we are learning the concept only. We are core Java and we have seen how to store data inside the database and few things about that. Okay, once you are done with servlets, immediately we will try to start Spring. There you will understand everything, how to develop an application. Okay. All right then, we'll stop here. I'll see you in tomorrow's session with some more topics. Okay. All right then. Thank you.